20-point lead and you blew it. Not good, folks.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Locked On Boston College, your team every day. I'm your host, AJ Black. I'm the editor of Eagle Insider, part of the 247 Network. Check out my work over there. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your $5 bet, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get yourself started. Boston College had a 20-point lead against Louisville. Things were looking great as they kicked this off, but everything fell apart quickly. And to talk about this, I'm bringing on today's show Mitchell Wolf of Eagle Insider as well. It's our Monday show. Mitch, how you hanging in there?
I'm doing okay because, to be honest, I initially didn't watch the game because I was driving to go to a wedding, so I missed most of it. And my wife was giving me updates of what was happening in the car, and things were going well. And so I'm like, okay, well, I can't watch it at this point. Like, things are going too well. And so I'm like, and we get to the hotel, and I'm like, not going to turn it on. So I'm checking it on my phone to see what's going on, just like the ESPN app. And things are good. Things are starting to turn in the second half. I'm like, okay, well, this is bad. So then I'm like, all right, I'm going to go take a shower real quick. Just, that's how I stop looking at my phone, hop in the shower, get out of the shower. BC was up 27 to 17 or whatever. When I get out of the shower, they're down 31-27. I was like, what the heck just happened? So rewatching it over the last few days, it's been informative as to what this team is and what their future is. And as I say with almost everything, outside of turnovers, when you blow a 20-0 lead, it's no one player, it's no one coach, it's no one unit. It's a calamity of errors of everything going wrong. And everybody and everyone deserves blame for this. Like I think they said Louisville was 0-47 or 0-57 when going into the fourth quarter by down 10 or more points, and now they're 1-47, 57 or whatever. So yeah, just a collapse of epic proportions.
So let's recap just quickly what happened, and we'll dive into some of the bigger points. Boston College comes out. They grab a 20-point lead on some big plays by a player I don't think any of us were expecting to have a big game, Quintavious Hutchins, who got the start over Neto Ekpala at the other edge rusher position. He gets an interception that leads to a touchdown. He gets a fumble and recovers his own fumble on a play where he absolutely blew up. Was it a wide receiver? Or
Huggins Bruce, yeah.
Yeah, just crushed him. And I think that also led to points, right?
Yes, I think so.
Those lead up to points. BC, they're moving the ball at points. They're finding some plays. There's the touchdown pass to Kamari Morales. They get a touchdown pass, a touchdown run to Kai Robichaux. They're moving the ball okay. Get to halftime, they go up 27. Finally, Louisville scores right before halftime. I think that was right before. Was that right when they had the big? No, that was second half. Sorry, I get my notes wrong. They score. Bill decides not to go for it, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and basically runs the clock down. They go up 20-7 at halftime. Second half starts. Again, it's not that bad. They hold, Louisville gets the ball. They hold them to a field goal. I think there was one of those bend don't break in the red zones. They kick a 26-yard field goal. You're taking that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the issues start.
BC scored another touchdown.
Oh, BC scored another touchdown.
27-10.
And Louisville starts driving, and then there's the KP Price interception, fumble recovery that I was in the press box. So I couldn't see it, but clearly he was down.
Yep.
But that felt. Watching that,
if that ball gets popped out, like tackled a little differently, KP Price, like
that game,
we're talking a whole different game. Honestly, I forget when exactly it was, but I think it was after the first interception, Louisville's next drive. Shuck almost throws an interception right to Ashton McShane, and I think McShane was just so surprised the ball came to him, and he drops it. That's an interception. BC gets the ball they're at the Louisville 25. They get the ball there, they score again. Like maybe they build such a big lead that it doesn't even matter. So that's another possible inflection point in this game. But back to the second half.
So what starts this all off? And it's easy to say that the punting became the issue here. But there's a bunch of issues. So Ivan Zavenko rips off two 30-ish or lower
Sub 30, yeah, 30 or
30
less, yeah.
punts that are basically turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
No other way to put it that way. It's a turnover. And BC's offense, I hate using this term because I've been hearing it for 15 years. They turtle. It's run, pass, punt. They're not doing anything. And Louisville's just getting the ball back in prime position. They go back up. BC, to their credit, they get two chances to win the game, and the offense can't do anything. Castellanos is just running around. He's getting killed, and they end up losing 31-27. Mitch, what do we want to talk about first here?
I guess we can just get the punting out of the way.
Let's talk. Yeah.
Catastrophic. Just we'll talk. We're going to talk about this like in tomorrow's episode a bit, but luckily there's a bye week here because you have to do a campus-wide search to find new punters because Ivan Zavenko was having a decent, by BC punting standards, was having a decent last few weeks. And you cannot play him anymore. Sam Kendati is back on the team, I guess. And he wasn't much better and hasn't been throughout his career anyway. So you do a campus-wide search, do tryouts. You got to find somebody else or completely shift your offensive vision where you are just not punting and go. I forget the coach's name, but I'm pretty sure he was at Presbyterian in D2 and they just never punted. They onside kicked every play and they were killing people in D2, and then that guy got hired at an FCS school and went like 0-12 in his first season.
Well, the other thought is too, and I don't know how they are at punting, honestly, because I thought I've been to practice. I'm gonna say this right now. Ivan Zavenko at practice can boom punts. I've watched him do it, and it's just he free. I don't know what's going on, but when he gets to games, it's just like it's coming off the side of his foot. It's
this was our like Jack Conley theory a few years ago. We were like, maybe he's just good in practice, and when it gets to games, he's just not as good. But I think.
But they also have Sam Stone, who we haven't seen yet.
He had one punt against Missouri, and it was terrible.
And then you have Liam Connor, who also I think punted at one point too, didn't he?
Not that I'm saying you're lying or you're wrong, but you said he did. I'm not sure if he actually.
I don't even know. I mean, it's so. Yeah. I swear I saw Liam Connor punt at one point.
Yeah,
but so you have at least three guys, but none of them are working. The bottom line is how many guys they have. No matter who it is, it's not happening, right?
Yeah.
So what do they go to no punting? And what's the answer here? And how do you get? I mean, it's bad. Like the punts are just terrible. Like, how does a team? I know college kickers. You get the hashtag college kickers, but you usually don't see punting consistently this bad.
Yeah, this is the worst punting team in the Power 5, and one of the worst in the. It's shocking that they are not the worst in yards per punt, according to in all the FBS. It's shocking they're not the worst. They're close, but they're like 128th, I think. And they're the worst in the Power 5. Syracuse is down there too, for what it's worth. But yeah, it's a disaster. And the thing about and again, we'll talk about this, is that, and again, I don't claim to be an expert on the mechanics of punting and kicking. And the thing about special teams coaches is typically they are not either. They're more concerned with blocking for kicks, in terms of field goal blocking and make sure the kick doesn't get blocked, setting up returns, covering kicks, covering punts, all that. They're usually let the punters and kickers deal with it themselves, just because it's, they're more concerned with the other things because you can control those better because it's the other 10 players on the field. That said, how bad this has been, how it hasn't been fixed, there have to be some, personnel or coaching personnel decisions that might need to be made soon, because this is BC offensive line 2022 levels of terrible at this point.
I mean, it's as you said, you jumped in the shower, this flipped the game. You just, Tyler Shugg. I mean, I'm gonna say this right now, that Ja'Cory Brooks is very good. Isaac Brown was very good. Tyler Shugg, I was like, I mean, he was fine. He's fine. I was also floored at how slow he is. Yeah. He could not scramble at all.
Yeah, they had they had him keep once on a designed run, and then they had that one where they tried to do the bootleg from under center, and I think Bryquise Brown just zoomed right to him. He's like, oh, nope, going down. So, yeah, not an athlete. Yeah.
But you're having all this happen, and then you're punting the ball to them, and they're just, your defense starts getting gashed, your offense isn't performing. It is a true Achilles heel of this team right now, and it's killing them.
Yeah, like you said, BC didn't turn the ball over in this game. How do you lose a game when you win the turnover battle 4-0 if you include KP Price's last interception? 3-0, sorry, if you include KP Price's last interception. And you do it because those two punts, like you said, are essentially turnovers with how good Louisville's starting field position was.
Right.
And again, like with this Louisville offense, like it was always like, okay, the first half went like as perfectly as you could ask. Like, all right, get some turnovers, hit some explosive plays on offense, get out to a lead, and kind of hold on and pray. And maybe you can force a turnover late, but this Louisville offense is eventually going to break through. Like they're not world beaters, but they've been pretty good at putting up points. So if you let them hang around, this is going to be a problem. And if you give them short fields, it's going to lead to points. And like we saw, it's going to lead to a loss.
All right, we have more to talk about in just a moment. We're going to talk about Tommy Castellanos and his struggles in this game, the play calling, and a whole bunch more. We'll be back in just a moment. Let's get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. I was just actually watching some recaps, and one of the things that you can do on FanDuel is pick the amount of touchdowns a quarterback will throw. Now, I don't think the odds were great if you picked one touchdown for the Washington Commanders, but Jaden Daniels threw one of the craziest Hail Marys I have ever seen.
Listen, we cover Boston College. We're authorities on the subject.
Right. Well, that too, but I mean, in the NFL.
Yes. Yeah. No, that was saying the exact things. Like you just don't see plays like this at the professional. Like it was. I've watched first of all, did you see the clip of the cornerback?
Taunting the
my
fans?
God, but it's still like one of the coolest plays. Like hearing the home radio announcers call it. I'll watch every clip of it. It's so cool.
It's very cool. And if you had Jaden Daniels with over 300 passing yards, you would have hit on that. If you had Jaden Daniels with one touchdown pass, you would have hit that. And then, of course, if you did a little parlay and had the Commanders winning this game, you would have won there too. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com today to join. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. We're back, and this is Locked On Boston College. AJ Black. If you want to get my initial thoughts right after the game from the press box, I did, in fact, as I said, skip Bill O'Brien's 1 and 30-second long press conference. Which I'm kind of glad, because it would have taken me another 30 minutes to get back and forth, which is crazy. He answered 3 questions and left. But I do have a postcast on the Locked On Boston postcast that you guys can check out. So make sure you can find that on YouTube or wherever you get podcasts. It comes to our regular stream for any of the podcast channels. But if you're on YouTube, you have to look for the different channels to check that out. Now, let's talk about this offense, because, Bill said they scored 20 points, and I think he called it gadget plays at one point. That was part of the reasons why they scored. They just weren't very effective. Turbo Richard was out for this game. We don't know what his injury status is. We'll ask Bill later this week. Hopefully he'll give us an update. That was a big loss. But Trayshawn Ward played pretty well. And then we didn't see much of him in the second half. What are your thoughts about the running game and what was going right and wrong, Mitch, with this offense?
So, I don't know if I'd use the word gadget plays, but it was very clear that the BC offense was not consistently moving the ball well in the first half. The first drive, they go 3 and out. I think they punted on another early drive where they might have been like get one first down and then punt. So, and then, you have these kind of funky plays where you get the 4th and 1, which, to Will Long's credit, we'll talk about him a lot. That is exactly the type of play they should be running on 4th and 1. Like, that is perfect, drawn up beautifully, executed perfectly, loved it. Morales touchdown, perfect, loved it. So you score on that one. That's, again, kind of a fluky play. They hit on Was that the one where they got Ward on the wheel route for a big gain, like huge, like the 59-yard gain? Was that?
I think that was the third quarter.
Okay. Well, they hit on that a few times, so that's helpful. And I'm trying to think of some of the others, but yeah, like they're hitting on these big explosive plays, which again, good that they're happening. Yeah. So BC's first 2 drives were punts. Then they had a punt on the drive where the ensuing drive was Louisville's missed field goal, and then they were generally better after that. But yeah. So and this is why I don't really have a problem with O'Brien's decision not to try to mount a drive at the end of the first half, because they do have all 3 timeouts. They do have like a minute 17 left, so you could mount a drive. But I think at that point you're more worried about going 3 and out, having even if they have a good punt. Louisville's going to have. I think they had all 3 timeouts, maybe 2, and then maybe they used some of them. But you're more worried about Louisville getting the ball back and mounting a quick drive there in an obvious passing situation. So I get it. And he said something like that. We don't have a juggernaut passing offense. So I understand why he did it. You don't want to make it worse. You don't want to give Louisville more momentum in the half. And I get it. It's a little cowardly. It's not playing aggressive, and kind of surprising given that they were pretty aggressive on 4th downs in this game. But and we were talking about this before the show. Like if they did try to go for it, like let's say they go 3 and out, 3 passes, don't get the first down. Louisville takes time with like 50 seconds left, and then Louisville, mounts a drive, they get a field goal, and it's 20-10 going to half. Like people would be saying, "Oh, why'd Bill O'Brien? Why didn't they just run out the clock and go to halftime?" So it's one of those things where he's going to get crucified either way.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Exactly. So at the time, I was surprised by the decision, but watching the game back and getting the context, I'm like, okay, this actually makes sense. But rewatching the rest of the game, moving on to Castellanos, I do not think he is a very big reason why they are losing. Well, it's not a big reason why they lost this game. He was last week with the turnovers, but after that, he was playing pretty well. But he is not doing enough to help this team win games. And what I mean by that is that he is still leaving a lot of good plays on the field in terms of especially passing with just inaccurate passes. The one that I thought was most relevant of this was there was a 3rd down. I think it was BC's 2nd drive where they tried to hit Jaden Skeet on a drag route, and he just put the ball way behind Skeet. Didn't really have a chance at catching it. And if he just places that ball properly in front of Skeet, that's a first down, and BC keeps the chains moving. That's a big one. On the first drive, he has 2 throws that are just completely going nowhere. I'm not getting too mad about the Hail Mary that he overthrew a bit. I guess you'd probably prefer it to be short to give somebody a chance to catch it, but at that point, I'm just like, this is a fluke play that I'm not going to get too mad about. And I do also think that the receivers are just not getting open quickly enough. In this game, it was, Lewis Bond had kind of a weird game where he just wasn't getting a lot of legitimate targets.
He's having a weird season.
Yeah, it's so up and down for him. Jaden Skeet, I'm pretty sure he got hurt and left the game because he started and only played like 16 snaps and then didn't come back. And I think it was after BC's 2nd touchdown, he was limping kind of in the end zone. So I think he got hurt. And after that, you saw Jerron Bradley play, I think 35 snaps.
Yep.
And didn't get a single target and 21 passing snaps. So he's out there just getting a good cardio workout running routes. Like if you're on the play that many times, if you're on the field that much and you're not getting a target, that should say something that you're probably not getting open enough. The John Montague experience continues. I do not understand it. Having a play where it's 4th and 11, game on the line, and you throw a deep pass to a guy who was playing quarterback up until 2 or 3 months ago on a play where Lewis Bond had to tell him where to line up.
Mm-hmm.
And John Montague's only targets in the games he's played at this point were a designed bubble screen and when they've run him on like jet sweeps. That is just inexcusable personnel management, play calling, play design, whatever you want to call it. And I'm pretty sure that Jerron Bradley wasn't even on the field in that play because I'm pretty sure the other receivers were Reed Harris and Lewis Bond. So that is just unbelievable. I do not understand it. If it was like, people have asked me, like, is there anything that you're seeing from Montague that, could lead you to believe like why this is happening? And frankly, no, I don't understand it at all. Again, like maybe Jerron Bradley is not meeting expectations. That's one thing, but just still like then going to this guy, John, and I don't want to like rag on him personally. Like,
right.
I just don't think he's ready to be a meaningful contributor at this position, and it's hurting the team.
Would you rather see Luke McLaughlin at this point?
Boy, talk about Sophie's choice.
Sorry, I couldn't resist. But
I mean,
no, like what you're saying.
But honest, in that situation, that's basically the same. Like that is if it had been him in that same situation, like I'd be saying the same thing. Like, why is this happening? They are
Right.
equally ill-fitted to that situation.
But you have injuries happen, right?
Yes.
You have Dino Tomlin, who is maybe he's not the most dynamic wide receiver out there, but he knows what he's doing, and he's been around for years. And I feel like he's more reliable and like a guy that can do some things.
If they had put Cedric Lott out there, who's a true freshman, 6'5" wide receiver who has not played at all this season, I would get it. I'm like, he's very tall. Maybe he could get that.
Yeah.
I totally get it. Like, again, Montague's like 6'2", 6'3", so like he's not short, but like Montague's like, or not, Lott is like, built like Bradley. Like, oh, he's got these crazy long limbs. Maybe he can make a catch. I don't know. He's played receiver most of his life, so maybe that's a better move. So, yeah, it was just bad. In terms of the second half play calling, I get the desire to want to run the ball, control the clock, extend, and then they just weren't executing. Again, not using Ward enough. We'll talk about this in a future episode. Just not using Ward enough. I get they feel like they have to use Robichaux as this pass protector, which then he's still running a lot of routes. I'm just like, I don't really understand this. I don't know. Maybe Ward got nicked up and we just didn't really know about it, but he still was playing later into the game, so I don't know. I think it's just more evidence that Will Long's just in over his head a bit, and I think especially in the first half, I think we saw much cleaner execution. In the second half, waned a little bit, and I'll have to watch it a few more times. Maybe Louisville made some adjustment that I missed, that they were able to get BC off the field a lot more consistently. But yeah, just again, you don't blow this kind of a lead without everybody playing a role.
And not to pile on Long, because we'll talk about him in another episode, but Bill O'Brien, what's the quote he keeps going back to for the last 4 weeks? We have to play 60 minutes of football. We haven't played 60 minutes yet. I'm not sure Will Long could coach offense consistently for 60 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just seems like at some point during a game, it just falls off a cliff. It's fourth quarter right now. They have not scored a point in the fourth quarter in the last 3 games. They've been outscored 47-0 in the last 3 games in the fourth quarter. And the offense has just not been there. It's just not doing it. In a moment, we'll wrap things up. We'll talk about a few more takeaways, maybe a little bit about the defense and other things going on with this game. We'll get into all that in just a moment. GameTime is my place to go when I need tickets, and they have a new feature called GameTime Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. GameTime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. You're looking for tickets for games against Syracuse. You're looking for game tickets for the Celtics. They got it all. They have curated deals that make it easy to find the best prices on great seats, and with their ticket viewer, you know exactly where you're going to sit, which is always important. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime Picks. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Make sure you get on this. I love GameTime. I think you will too. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download GameTime today. What time is it? It's game time. Locked on Boston College, AJ Black here. We're wrapping things up here on Locked on BC. Just as a heads up, well, there's a lot of recruiting news buzzing right now. BC has 3 new commitments coming in. They have not announced who the names are. One of them had an Irish flag on there, a little teaser, so you can probably figure that out if you've been following along. But there's 2 other ones, and they're both flips, so that's interesting. I will be talking about that whenever that happens. You can make sure you can check that out here or on Eagle Insider, so check those both out. All right, Mitch. Any other last thoughts or takeaways? Because we could dissect this show for hours, this game for hours, but we had to keep this to a tight 30.
Yeah, again, it's hard to say the defense played well when they gave 31 points, and especially allowed the opposing team to mount a 20+ point comeback. But I thought there was some interesting stuff, good stuff from the defense. First of all, BC played a ton of base defense, and it was a base 3-4 for a lot of, especially in the early part of the game, which was surprising and worked decently well. You saw Omar Thornton start at free safety instead of Carter Davis. Carter Davis didn't take a snap defensively, which was surprising because Davis had a few, misses here and there. He's some bad plays, but he's a first-year starter, redshirt freshman. So surprising to see him just not play. But Omar Thornton had a very good game, had a sack, was flying around, made some big hits. So that's good to see. Good to see a young player contributing like that. So obviously played a ton of man in this game, which was very surprising. I think Tim Lewis, I think he kind of wanted to try to see if he could catch Louisville off guard with some different stuff that BC might not have been showing on film as much. So I don't, again, it's hard to say. I don't put a ton of this loss on the defense because, again, like we kind of knew that the Louisville offense was always going to break through. And especially with a lot of those late touchdowns coming on very short fields. But, and again, like something we talked about this defense is that, losing guys like Cam Arnold and Amari Jackson are one bad because those guys are good, solid players. But, you're seeing when you have to go further down the depth chart on this team, you're getting guys that are not really up to stuff. Like having Ashton McShane, true freshman cornerback, playing against Ja'Cory Brooks, who's a very good, probably an all ACC caliber receiver, very good player who Ja'Cory Brooks, I think he's at least a 5th-year senior. Like he's been around for actually maybe he's just a 4th-year senior or 4th-year junior, but he's been around a while. He knows like what to do, how to play football. And again, this is Ashton McShane's 3rd, 2nd start, something like that. So, he's gonna, that's just tough matchup for him. It is what it is. The slot position on this defense is really rough. Kari Johnson and Cameron Martinez did not have good games. With this bye week, I do wonder if they could figure out something with Carter Davis or Omar Thornton playing in the slot more, because I know that they've expressed confidence in those guys' versatility. So that's something that they could do. Another big issue is that, BC blitzed a lot more in this game. I think 42% of dropbacks, which they have only been blitzing at about like 27%, I think, and only got pressure on 24% of dropbacks, which is less than their yearly or seasonal average to this point. So it's like that's just a major problem because Donovan Ezeraku, like, first of all, he has been blanked for sacks in the month of October, which only 2 games, but it's bad. Can't have that. But he's playing hard out there. Like he is, and they're moving him around a bit, trying to find him some matchups. And he didn't get a sack, but he drew a holding on a play that, basically became a sack and led to a punt, I think. So, you're affecting the quarterback in different ways, but they're just not getting anything from anybody else in the pass rush. Like there's no real interior pressure consistently. The opposite edge, like again, Quintavious Hutchins had a great game in terms of turnovers. Other than that, had some missed tackles, didn't really offer much in pass rush. So, and I said, hey, maybe try blitzing more, see if that can jumpstart it. That didn't work at all. So I don't really have an answer for that. But that's something that is just really hurting this defense and the inability to create pressure on the quarterback from anybody else besides Donovan Ezeraku.
It's scary too because you look at the depth and you don't see any other options. You just mentioned like their lack of depth or how it kind of goes down. Like you look at the edge piece and there's no experience other than Ekpala and Ezeraku, and then you have Hutchins a little bit, but then you have to go down like even further.
Like Edwin Kalingi has played a bit, and like I don't know like what the deal is with him. Like maybe he's hurt and we just don't know about it. But like he had some nice plays, some nice games last year, and he's just not getting any snaps.
Gilbert Tongragu, we have not seen of.
I don't know what. I never put a ton of stock in him because he's always been kind of hurt. But like Josiah Griffin,
Clive,
even Ty Clemens, I think played a snap, but he's maybe a player you could use in some ways. Yeah, Clive Wilson, at least at this point, we think he's healthy. Like he's the other guy who always gets hurt. So
I think he's actually hurt. I think I've seen him out of clothes.
Not to be mean, but just he's just always been hurt. So
I mean, that's going to be an episode later down the road, but like transfer portal 1A and 1B has to be the defensive line.
That's the entire list for transfer portal in the offseason because
they can't go in with the guys they have.
Currently constructed Boston College's defensive line depth chart next year is a middling group of 5 team depth chart on the defensive line. It is that bad. So yeah, that's a whole problem. But yeah, I mean, luckily this team has a bye week this week. They can try to get some things corrected.
Yep.
I still think that there are winnable games in the last quarter of the season. Obviously Pitt and SMU are playing really well. I think Cuse and UNC can be had, but
hey, if they don't 6 turnovers
and still won, which I don't know. I don't know if I've ever seen that before, but I do also want to bring one thing up, and I don't know if he said this explicitly in the press conference, but, and this is just my personal opinion, like the way that Bill O'Brien has said, like, I have to teach these guys how to win, that kind of just, I don't know why, but that just rubs me the wrong way. Like, again, not that BC is winning, has been winning, 9+ games a season or, national champs or anything like that. But like, I just feel like that's kind of reductive. These guys won games last season, and they were in close, tough games last year, and a lot of these guys found a way to win. Asterisks abound, but they found a way to winning in 2022 against a ranked team on the road. So I think, I don't know if he said that again this week, but I'm just not sure that's the tack I would take here. Especially because I think that a lot of the problems that we've seen, like with these late game collapses, or in Virginia Tech's case, like just allowing the other team to just do whatever they wanted for the first half. Some of these lapses are on the coaching staff, and I think that, in my opinion, Bill O'Brien needs to take greater accountability for. And maybe he is trying to say this, but it's just the way he's wording it doesn't sit right with me. But like, this is his job to be able to like get these guys prepared to, play well in these games. And I think that he and the coaching staff are falling short of that at this point. And the way, again, maybe he doesn't mean it, but just the way it comes off, it seems like he's putting more blame on the players, which I don't think is fair.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've heard a lot of that, and then a lot of he does blame the coaches a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. He says we're not doing it. The coaching staff, we need to figure out how to coach them better.
Right. And I do know he has said that. So I might just be reading that one way he said that just sticks with me in the wrong way, and the other stuff matters more. But so, yeah, I mean, again, thank God for this bye week, because this team, especially, like, they need to get, we'll talk about this later, but like, they need to get Turbo Richard back. They need Turbo, and they need Cam back.
I
mean, I don't know if they're going to Cam, but like, and again, we don't know what Turbo's injury is, but like, yeah, they definitely need both those guys back as soon as possible.
All right. So the plan is Mitch is going to come back later this week. Either tomorrow, I haven't to discuss with Mitch what the dates are going to be like. If there's a ton of recruiting news tomorrow, I'm going to probably go solo and just do recruiting stuff. If there is, I'm going to probably end up recording with Mitch anyways, but we'll have an episode with Mitch and me talking about some of the changes that are needed to be made by the end of this year, and what they need to do to start winning again. We talked about Will Lawing, Matt Turn, the special teams coordinator. We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about Turbo, the defense, all of that on a future episode coming up later this week. So, Mitch, where can people find your work?
You can find me at Mitchell T. Wolf, WOLFE on Twitter. Again, check out my work on Eagle Insider. We'll have the game rewatches up later this week. I think we'll have some of those changes in a written form as well on the website. So you can see some more fleshed out ideas there. Maybe some clips, some statistics, as opposed to just a 30-minute podcast. But yeah, so just check everything out there. Obviously, recruiting is going to be heating up, and the one guy you mentioned, you talk about your wire gifts. The price of the brick went up with this guy, so people desperately need him. So that's good. Good that we have him.
Yes, yeah. We didn't do well with the Australian punter. Well, maybe we'll do better with an Irish one. The GIFs and memes will be great for that one. But anyways, I'm AJ Black. Follow me on Twitter at AJ Black 247, and check out my work over at Eagle Insider as well. I'll be back again tomorrow. I will put up on Twitter what we're doing, depending on how the news cycle is working. There could be all sorts of different things going on. We'll make sure you're locked in. Hit the subscribe button. Hit that the bell so you know when we're going. And make sure you check out Locked On Boston College, your team every day.